Okay, so I'm just hitting that Python server.py 8080 port, right? So I'm just by this command I'm running my server.py Python file, and I'm just adding one extra parameter 8080, and which, which you will see in after some time. Okay, so I'm hitting this command, and this understand what happened in the backend, right? So we are just running the server.py, so server.py here, okay, and here if we are running this server.file directly, so this if function will occur, and that will run this main file, and which will just extract the information which we are providing in the command line like 8080 port, that will save in a server port by this system argv command, and just uh, and and this code will just initiate one socket and bind it to the server port that we are providing, and also this uh, empty will empty string will uh, empty string will illustrate that we are server will accept any request from any IP, right? And this will listen at most five requests at a time, or just like it has a stack of five requests, right? And this will just call in the another file like server worker with the client info that we are setting up here. So server worker here, okay, so here that will run this that will call this function run, and this will create a thread with targeting the another function, which is uh, this function, which is described here also, that uh, while true, like this is an infinite loop, and where we are just decoding the received request, like there is a server and there is a client. So client is just sending a request to the server, right? So server is accepting that request, and we are just decoding that here, and just calling the another function, which is this process rtsp request, right? So, and in this function we are just splitting all the given requests, right? Request is just a header where the information is just bind up and just send it to the server, right? So we are just splitting that information by this parameter like backslash n, and just extracting the all the information like file name, request type, sequence, and all that type. And if we are checking that the request type is a setup type, then we are just video stream, we are just get ready the video that the client is asking for. And if we are not if server has not that file, then we are just sending the reply that file not found for not for response, right? And if the that file is on the server, then we just video stream file name, and video stream is on the here there is another separate file that we are just video streaming that file to the client, like we are just frame we have one video, and we and that video is in the form of frame, like there is a 1,000 frames or 2,000 frames or etc. So we are just sending that frames to the client, right? So this code is just doing that. And yeah, here, so here just we are for the sake of session id, we are just generating one random session id, and sending the reply that if we are getting the right setup request, then we are sending 200 as a okay parameter, and just asking the another okay. So here if the request is play type, then we are just creating one new socket and sending a response of 200, and we are calling the another function send RTP, and which we'll see in the later time. And if the if the request is paused, then we are just setting up the event as a set, and just sending the okay request, okay response. And similarly for the tear down, and tear down is just closing the connection between server and client. So we are just here uh, closing that server and client connection, right? So here the send RTP function is that. So here we are just sending the requested files or just requesting video that client is requesting, right? So here uh, we are sending that video frame by frame. So here we are just mentioning the next frame, and video streaming is the parameter that in a client info array that. And yeah, so here the another function is that make RTPs. Here we are just making the header of that sending RTP, like version padding, extension, CC marker, and etc. Various parameters are there. And here we are just creating a response reply RTP response that we want to server want to send to the client that I have accepted your request and just sending your reply. And with that reply I'm sending the requested file that you are asking for, right? So yeah, this is what after hitting this command and to just requesting that file by the client. So we are just hitting this file name like this. Okay, so by hitting this we are the RDB client, this type of GUI will open. And by just setting up this setup box that we are client will set up the video for us, and here you can see the response of that. And while playing we can see the video on the screen, and by pause the video is paused, play video is play, tear down, then video the connection is blocked. And yeah, so here we can see that the server is running but the client has disconnected, so processing tear down and etc. And yeah, so what goes behind this, like we are just running the client launch.py, right? So here we are, by running that we are also providing some type of parameters like port, server port, client port, and the file requested. So that this code is extracting all the information of that and just sending, calling another function client by passing that all the information here, like okay. So here a class name is client and just initiating some states, server and client state here, and just setting up all the information like file name, sequence, session ID, teardown, well, teardown weight or frame number, server port, address, etc. And here we can see here this code is for just we by hitting that command we can see that the GUI part. So that GUI part is created by this command, and by clicking the every button we can see that this code is saying that by clicking the start execute play movie function, and by clicking setup command setup button, then you can execute setup movie and etc. So yeah, by the setup movie, by clicking the setup button, this function will run, and this function will check that if the state of the server is, if the state is init, then kindly just execute another function which name is send rtsp request by the send dprt self dot setup, right? So yeah, send rtsp request. So here you can see that uh, if the request code is set up, so we are creating a new thread and just targeting the another function that receive rtsp reply and request. We are just creating another request which will consist of setup and file name, and this is the separator that we are discussed before, and rtsp sequence number and rtsp port, and this is another stuff that we are required for our uh, request. So by that we are just encoding the request by the UTF-8 method and just sending to the setting wire socket and just updating our state to the setup. And if that request code is a play, then we are just increasing the setup sequence, and just request we are just making the request header and encoding that and passing that, and similarly for the pause and the tear down, and for the tear down we are just updating that and just sending that similarly, similar case with all rest of that. And yeah, so okay, so yeah, setup movie exit client. So this function will occur when we are just uh, tearing down that when we click that tear down button, and this function will occur, and pause movie will execute when we are clicking the pause button, right? So that will also asking for the same function and with the another parameter. Play movie also create a another create and just asking for the same function with another parameter. Listen RTP is the same also, like we are just getting by. Okay, so listen RTP is that we are just accepting the video from the server, and just we are gathering the packet information and just extracting all the information and just making that packet or the frame into the video, and just serving to the that client's GUI, that we can see that video clearly, right? So yeah, and we can see that here a small function is also that write frame, that that is just clearing out the all the functions and just opening that file. Like here we are just saving that every frame by this cache file, as you can see, and this cache file name is 54238 cache file, that okay. And yeah, there is update movie connect to server also, the function is there, and send request we have discussed before. And yeah, and yes, this is another function that receive RTSP reply. So in this function we are just if we are getting the reply from the server, then we are just decode that and just calling the another function parts RTSP reply by this uh, yeah, pass RTSP reply. And in this pass RTSP reply we are just extracting the information from that response from the server, and do the accordingly, like if we are just we just want to update our state to the playing mode, or just a ready playing mode, or just uh, by the pause we are just setting up our state to the ready. And if we send the tear down request, and the website the tear down acknowledgement bit to the one, okay. And by just opening the RTP port, we also want to bind the server address and the port number. So that will do here. And handler, okay. So abruptly, if we are just closing the GUI, then that this will ask that whether you want to close the GUI or not. If we click yes, then this will exit our client, and if not, then this will resume our client and do the play movie, right? So this is all about that uh, project assignment. And again we are just hitting this command and just setting the video, and yeah, play. We can see there's a current sequence number is also the synchronizing and just pausing by that. This we can see that there is a state also that, and on the server side data is received, and we are just pausing right now, that will be indicated, and by just playing that the state is updated to processing play, okay. So tear down, so the state is updated to the tear down mode, and the client has disconnected. Thank you. Okay, so by the way, when I just entered this encode or just decode function here, that uh, that we are just accepting like here, that we are just sending the request.encode and we are just passing the UTF-8. Then this encode function is referred to here in the RTB packet.py, where there is a function called encode, where we are just making one header format, a byte array header size. We have defined a header size as 12, and this 12 why this 12 number is discussed in the PDF that uh, assignment has described in the PDF, right? So there, this all the information of the setting of all the bits of in the header of 1 to 12 is are told, and we are just also setting up the payload to the self function. And yeah, similarly with the decode also, that there is we are just extracting the information by stream to the byte array and just payload to the byte stream. And similar with the version, and if you want to just extracting the sequence number from that response, that this function is called, that this will in the header 2 byte we are just uh, left shift by 8 and just or with the header 3, and some type of algebra is there. And yeah, uh, few functions are there like payload type, get payload type, and get packet.